I think we are going to face an historical moment, not because of the presentation, but because just now the Pope was elected. So it's we are going to share a very strange moment, and it's strange to go back to Bronze Age now, but we are happy to do it, and we really acknowledge the invitation of Klaus, and we are enthusiastic and really happy and pleased to share our results and the work of our community of archaeologists working on a community, on a Bronze Age community of people living in Cyprus, in this very wonderful place called Erimi on the southern coast of the island of Cyprus. And we are enthusiastic to have you there on board, and pleased to share with you what we have done, and hopefully what we are going to do together during the next season in August. Field to lab to stories, because we are going to be clear of what is archaeology. Archaeology is history, is like history, but dirtier in terms of the clothes you have to wash up after your day of work day on the site, but is history. I mean, we are going to read the earth, we are going to interpret the evidence coming from the earth and destroy what we are going to know and learn about in order to reconstruct a chapter, a micro chapter or macro chapter of history. And what we are going to do is focusing on the development of the society and community in Cyprus during a very sensible and important period, which leads the villages, the village-based communities, people living in almost horizontal society, or slightly hierarchical society, into a more complex society, which is the urbanized society, much more hierarchical and much more cosmopolitan and open to international network. So Erimi is just the connection phase between villages and cities. And so where are we? We are in this, near this wonderful sea fringe on the southern coast of the island. This is the Kurion Gulf, where the ancient Greek and Roman town of Kurion has been located. And Erimi is on a hill just a few kilometers inside along the river Kuris, which is an important, one of the most important fluvial system running from the Troodos, the massive, the mountain massive, central massif of the island, running to the south and running southward to the southern coast in the Gulf of Kurion. So what you're looking here is the highest hilltop on the Kuris River Valley, where this community during the Middle Bronze Age decided to establish a place to live, a place to work, and a place to share and dwelling. And when we are in the Middle Bronze Age, which is, as I anticipated, a very important and sensible period of connection. In terms of absolute chronology, we are between 2000 and 1600 before Christ, and this is one of the most relevant sites, one of the most relevant communities investigated in Cyprus for this period. Of course, there are other coeval sites all around the island, but you know that the northern part of the island has been occupied in 1974, and since then also the archaeological investigation has been stopped on that area of the island. So majority of comparative cases for the period are limited to the central and southern part of the island where Erimi is located. You see here from this drone view, aerial view, that this hill has been really well organized in terms of occupational spaces. The topmost of the hill is occupied by a workshop complex. We call this area A, and a workshop complex which is devoted to the production of textile, and we have evidence for all the chaîne opératoire, the production steps connected to textile production. So we have evidence for collecting raw material, animal and vegetal material, extracting pigments from vegetal material, spinning, weaving, and of course dyeing fibers and textiles. And this is a place very well chosen because the workshop complex is on the top of the hill, in a place where the raw material available were very useful for the industry of textile. Like, for example, the wild plants used for extracting pigments, Borraginaceae family, were widely diffused on the area. And also the place is very good for drying the fibers, the dyed fibers, because of the natural wind channeling going through the river valley. The southern part of the hill is occupied by the residential units, the domestic quarter where people used to live, and from there they go to work to the workshop complex. The residential units and the workshop complex is the settlement, the living space, which is limited by a circuit wall, which is another very important evidence in Erimi, is the earliest circuit wall we have since now documented in Cyprus, which, as you can see very well on the slide, which is surrounding all the hill to the south, west, from the southwest to the southeast. And outside the circuit wall, we have the funerary clusters, that is the cemetery, the necropolis, which is characterized by a series of tombs, multiple or single tombs, excavated directly in the same limestone terrace where the workshop and the residential units have been excavated. So it is a complete homogeneous context, and it is very interesting to understand, after we stated where are we and when the community has established the sequence of occupation on the site, is much more interesting to see how we can approach the study and investigation, and how can we live their lives. And we are going to do it through a multi-scalar analysis. We didn't invent it. It is quite usual in modern archaeology, especially in prehistoric archaeology. Going to macro-analysis to micro-analysis, from excavation to laboratory analysis. And you can see in this scheme the different set of analysis we have established, and through this sort of multiple focal lens, we are going to observe the community and collect more and more evidence and results that we have to interpret, we have to analyze in order to create a single narrative. A narrative that we need to shape a story. You know, this is the important step too. We have to excavate, we have to analyze, we have to interpret, and we have to shape a story, because we are historians, dirtier, but we are historians at the end. So every story needs a hero. And for tonight, we'd like to suggest these specific hero, the main character of the story, which is the goat, a very mysterious hero. And we can address this question. We can ask ourselves, who's that goat? Paraphrasing Who's That Girl by Madonna that everyone knows. We have to investigate who is this young goat we found out in Erimi, in Middle Bronze Age Erimi, and why this community, these people shape out this goat. Which is the important, which is the relevant, which is the role of this goat. And we try to follow the step, and we try to analyze the goat under different lenses. That means under different kind of analysis in this multi-scholar approach we are going to propose. Excavation is documentation. This is the base, you know, and is what you're going to do coming to Cyprus. Is not just going there and remove soil. You are going there to remove soil and document different kind of evidence throughout the stratigraphy. You know that archaeology is a destructive science. I mean, what we are going to do removing soil is destroying the evidence we are going to interpret. So we have to be very careful in doing it. What we remove, it cannot come back anymore. And we are not like critics, we are not like philologists that can go back to their documents to have a new look on this, a new insight, a new observation on it. What we are going to destroy is destroyed forever. But this is the fascinating stuff. And so when we found out the goat, and here you can see a photo, a picture of the day when we found out the goat, in the context we found out, it was very important to state, to argue that the goat, the complete ascos, the complete zoomorphic vase, was found out just deposited on the floor of a single room of the workshop complex, in a place which is not casual. It was just put there for a reason. So field analysis starts with stratigraphy. A stratigraphy is something you're going to experience coming to Erimi, and of course you have to observe and learn from your much more experienced colleagues working there, the supervisor and other archaeologists, but you will learn how to interpret it, the sequence of events connected with a specific context you are going to remove, and create a stratigraphy. That is the story of the sequence of events that occurred in that specific area and context. And this, it takes a long time, and sometimes from the early morning to the sun, when the sun is going down. But this is a very nice photos, and I was like about finding an excuse to show you up, but it's very nice. Sometimes it happens that you are going to work till night, especially if you are going to excavate a tomb context, in order to avoid risks connected with illicit excavation and robbery, of course. Another important step of field analysis, that means something done on the site, is topography. Topography is now, of course, something that is helped and supported very much by new technologies. For example, the total station, the GPS allow us to have exact point fixing on 3 coordinates, geographic coordinates, that help us in drawing structure and having orthophotos. You can see the drone we always use during the workday, drones to make pictures, not only the wonderful one I showed you before, like this one, but also the documentation of the site, of the levels we are going to excavate, and so to remove day by day. But topography is also reconstruction, and so you go from documentation to reconstruction, and it is something we used to do after in a post-excavation phase, trying to reconstruct the elevation of the architecture which is not preserved in prehistoric context. And here you can see a virtual model that a colleague of us realized of part of the workshop complex, trying to reconstruct the elevation of what we found out in collapsed structure, in collapsed context in the workshop complex. But also it is very important going to the material processing process, which has different steps, of course. So you are going to wash pots coming back from the single context, and you have to go to the conservation lab in order to mend and preserve the complete vessel found out in fragments, and then you go to the lab to describe and process all the materials in specific databases we use to document each single context. It makes very important results specifically in giving us statistics and giving us evidence for the distribution of specific objects in terms of function, in terms of style, in terms of production. And so it is very important as a phase. But it's of course not only washing, conserving, and describing. It is also photographic documentation. And you will see in the on the slide again our hero, the goat, which has been photographed by Daniele, our photographer, in the specific photographic set we set up on the excavation lab. And of course, at the end of each season, all the material processed, described, photographed, and drawn will be delivered to the local museum in Curion, where they have been stored, because everything we are going to excavate is not our owners. We are not the owners of these objects, but the owner of the objects is the Republic of Cyprus, the people of Cyprus, where this heritage came from. And so you see a photo of Caterina with all the materials of one season at the end of 2 seasons late. And this is very important, the delivering of material to the museum, because we are able, thanks to the restorers on site, to deliver the objects complete, restored, integrated. That means ready for possible future exhibition. And this is the case of our goat, our hero as well, which will have a very bright future after having been conserved and preserved by the restorator in the conservation lab, and photographed, and eventually also creating a 3D model of the hero itself, in order to have much more possibility to exhibit, to study, and to have a model for different uses and function throughout the life of the hero itself. But of course, not only material processing, but also the analysis of geoarchaeology and bioarchaeology. That is the set of analysis we are going to conduct to study and collect evidence and data coming from the landscape and reconstruct the relation between the community of Middle Bronze Age Erimi and the world, the environment they were living on. And I would like to ask Mia if she likes to go on and tell us about this set of analysis, since she is the coordinator, the leader of this set of analysis, especially is an expert of geoarchaeology, and she knows much more better than me the potentialities of this set of analysis. And just tell me when I have to go on with the slide.
Yeah, but I think you can follow me very, easily. I'll try to be quick because, as I said to Klaus earlier, I need to go out from the university before it closes. So then I will be back to you for any. Yes, I'm Luca coordinating the activities in the field, and in particular analytical approach, because what is important for us is trying to apply, as Luca showed to you, a multi-scalar approach, multi-scalar methodological framework, which helps us to have, let's say, a more composite picture of the context we are analyzing and reconstructing. And this is important because we have to know that archaeology involves solving difficult questions, and in order to solve these difficult questions, it's important to use all the possible application and all the possible data, both at macroscopic level and at the microscopic level. What we try at Erimi in order to deepen our understanding and our proving the reconstruction of text based on well-grounded evidence. As Luca anticipated you, it's important to conduct stratigraphic analysis in the site, but it's also important to reconstruct the surrounding context, because the natural context of the valley is important and an importance in shaping the community of Erimi during the Mid-Bronze Age. So we try to analyze the settlement, but also the natural settlement. And to do so, we focus on materials. We have the archaeobotanic material in this slide, which is very important to reconstruct all the life with processing and consumption of food, but also processing. Yes, look, if you can switch off your phone, it's better because we have less.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I try to speak maybe less quickly, more slowly. It's okay. So what kind of analysis we look at? We look at archaeobotanical analysis to reconstruct past, let's say, habits, including. Okay, it's can you hear better now?
Yes, much better.
It's much better, yes.
Super. Again, like food consumption and processing of, any kind of organic material. And for this reason, archaeobotanical analysis are extremely important, together with analysis of osteological materials that we find in the tombs context, but also in the settlement context, and combining these data with another, let's say, level of application, which involves isotopic analysis, helped us, for example, to reconstruct the paleo diet of people living and working at Erimi. And this is extremely important because it helps us also to reconstruct changing and transformation through time. And for us, this is extremely important because it helps to set the Erimi society into the context of the broader transformation which precedes the urbanization in the island. Another, let's say, application are the geoarchaeological analysis, which are both based in the settlement. So we conduct geoarchaeological analysis at the settlement scale and at the larger regional scale to understand, again, how the local resources of the natural environment of the Couris Valley were used through time, and also if there was a possible adaptation to the changing resources and climate through time. So this is the importance of geoarchaeological analysis, which is a combination of geological analysis and archaeological analysis to reconstruct the, let's say, settlement and its surrounding environment. Geoarchaeological analysis applied at settlement scale helped us also to reconstruct how building changed through time. And this is extremely important because it helped us to reconstruct how habits and socio-cultural dynamics were increasingly transforming. And all of these data are, of course, like super important, again, to analyze the society and, again, the context of changing society during Middle Bronze Age Cyprus. But together with this kind of analysis, we also want to see what is going on around the settlement and in the larger regional scale. So we conduct topographical analysis in the entire Couris River Valley to see how the river valley was occupied through time and which kind of occupation pattern we can identify. This is also important to understand what kind of let's say, connection and networks we had in the valley through time, from the prehistory until the proto-history, with the advent of the urbanization in the island. So this is the set of analysis we apply. And together with this, let's say, kind of application, we also use experimental archaeology because sometimes reconstructing past and prehistoric technology is very difficult. We try to combine macro evidence with microscopic evidence, but sometimes the archaeological record is very difficult to be reconstructed. So sometimes we apply experimental analysis to try to reproduce the past and technique. For example, in this slide, Luca included some nice picture of our experiment of the making and reproduction of ancient plaster technology, which helped us a lot to understand the technological level reached by the Erimi community. And through this kind of experimentation and the combination of these data with archaeological data, for example, we understood that the work organization at Erimi was quite specialized, I mean, much more specialized than the previous period. And this is very important in the definition of the socioeconomic transformation which accompanied the Middle Bronze Age period in Cyprus. So I, again, go back to now we go back to Luca again, and I will reappear in 5 minutes, just the time to go out from the university, and I will be ready to answer to your question together with Luca.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go to multiscalar analysis, from multiscalar analysis to multiscalar impact. And what is very interesting in working in archaeology in a foreign country is is trying to balance the interaction with all the involved communities. Our research is not neutral. Is something that have a strong impact on the local communities, on the international communities, on the community of scholars, in the community of the village where we are working on. And so it's important for us to take this really present in our ongoing activity on field. And this is the wide, broad area of interest that is called communication. And you will see Martina on the bottom of this slide, the exact day where our hero has been found, the goat, and how we manage to let this goat known outside the site from that very day on. First of all, we have different levels of spreading the information. For example, we have a local spreading. We are living in the Erimi primary school. We go there for fieldwork in summer for this reason, because we share this very building with the student and the teacher that work there during the year. And so they are the community, the first community we have to deal with. And so we presented the goat to them and asked them what this goat means for them, and how can we eventually use this to create a logo for the projects. And so we realized a sort of challenge in collaboration with the teachers of the primary school in Erimi, and all the students from single classes make test production of logos for our projects, using the goat as the main hero of this logo. But then there are other and different levels of spreading information in divulgative way. For example, we took part in a documentary which has been sponsored by the Italian Embassy in Nicosia and the Department of Antiquity of Cyprus, dedicated to the 50 years of bilateral archaeological relation between Cyprus and Italy. And since we are the oldest mission operating in Cyprus, Italian mission operating in Cyprus, we had the chance to describe our work for a wider audience throughout the Digging History documentary, and we share with them the goat story as well. And this year after years create new interest on the site, and only in 2021 we found out this extraordinary context, which is a shrine, a sacred area, which is inside the workshop complex, which is very important because it's one of the earliest architectural evidence of a building devoted, presumably devoted to sacred activities, which has an important monolith, a standing stone more than 2 meters high, which has been collapsed. We found out collapsed in front of a large ceramic container and a fireplace. And so after we have documented throughout the standard procedure we described you, we try to reconstruct the drawing reconstruction of what the contest was, and then a virtual reconstruction of what the context could eventually have been appeared in Middle Bronze Age. And this very discovery and the way we managed to go from analysis to interpretation to narrative to shape a story, create very large feedback from also from journalists, from mass media throughout Italy, Cyprus, and elsewhere. And this is, I think, is very important. Just yesterday, I had the chance to speak with the Ministry of Culture of Cyprus, and we said together, we agreed that one of the main tasks of archaeologists now is to create a narrative which can be understood by a wider audience, being correct, being exact, but being accessible and understandable. So we have to avoid the risk of closing ourselves in an ivory tower and try to be dirtier, as we said at the beginning. Archaeologists like history, but it's dirtier, and archaeologists needs to be dirtier also in terms of metaphoric sharing with a broader audience, instead of staying in their ivory towers speaking with the colleagues only. And so the goat had multiple lives. So we analyze and interpret and published, and on your right you have the publication of a scientific volume where our goat has been published for the first time, but it also entered in the communication with the local community in Cyprus and the primary school. And here you can see a picture of the kids worked on the Erimi project logo, and it was adopted and is part of us. But it's much more interesting that the goat entered also in your personal narrative, because in the site of the association, which we are collaborating through Klaus, the goat is the highlight images. Without we said this, he entered by himself. It is his own decision to represent Erimi also in the website of your association. And then also he entered in a very large international exhibition in the Museo Reale in Torino in 2021-2022, where the goat, you can see the slide on the bottom, has been reproduced. Since we had the 3D model, we decided to make a replica, and the replica was exhibited in the Cyprus exhibition in Torino, and visitors could eventually look at the objects, at the replica, and touch the replica and feel the very same feeling the people from Erimi in the Middle Bronze Age felt, and we felt finding out since Martina the very first day, throughout the long story of life, of the multiple life of this hero. So we got it, and finally the goat is alive throughout this long documentation, analysis, interpretation, and now is a character of a story and can be interpreted in a chapter of history, and then you may need the rest. And this is a picture that I don't think needs any comment. The man on the floor, it's actually me, and because sometimes you are a bit tired after working. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to both of you, Mia and Luca, for this very nice introduction to your project, which we are very much looking forward to being a part of, at least for 2 weeks this year. It's a very special site, and I'm myself very curious about the fact that it's maybe, as you mentioned, the core of maybe the urbanization going on in Cyprus, maybe the seed, the starting point of urbanization in Cyprus, leading to the late Bronze Age. Well, absolutely fantastic and fascinating. So it will be a very nice experience for myself to be part in this excavation. So thank you very, very much for the opportunity and for your time. And I suppose there will be a lot of questions, mostly also about the organization during our stay. We talked about it briefly before you started the lecture, about the procedures we will face every day because of the heat. Let's say we have to adapt to the environment in August, which is probably a little bit scary, even for some. I have never been to Cyprus in August. I've only been there excavating in September and October, and it was hot. So I can't yet imagine how it will be in August. But this is also the main reason why we will start at 6 in the morning. And so about until when would you usually be excavating? Until midday, or will you finish earlier sometimes?
Normally, the standard schedule is 6 to 1. That is the morning. But for special reason, we can eventually come down earlier in like 12:30 or something like. And in some cases, we can eventually come back late afternoon in case we need for special reasons, like for example for excavating a funerary contest where we have to go on quickly and we couldn't leave it open during night. So sometimes we try, but this is special cases, and also will be, I mean, everything is discussed and decided together with the supervisors of each area, which are responsible also for the scheduling time. But in general terms, the fieldwork on site is in the morning.
Right. Okay. So good to know. The only little problem, so to say, is that we will probably have to go back to Pizzuri after we finished excavation and maybe return. I don't, because most people will probably want to shower, I suppose, after the heat. But if it's okay, we will come back after that and join you for washing the pottery and stuff like this.
Yes.
Maybe we can even manage to stay there unshowered if you can bear us.
But I think there is no need, because we generally start again around 3:30.
Okay.
Because it's very hot during lunchtime, so we prefer to let students have a rest, and then we start around 3:30 generally. Sometimes we have, like, especially during the first week, we have some lecture about technical, let's say, aspects related to materials or things like that. And then we start the laboratories with the washing pottery, processing, and all the other stuff like restoration and so on. So I think if you join us at that time, but even at 4, it's, more than fine.
Well, we could even go to the sea just for half an hour and
Also, yeah.
Yeah, you have to consider that sea is the Curion Beach is very easy to reach from Erimi. It's like
10 minutes.
10 minutes driving, and it is a very well equipped beach. That means that you have bars, restaurants, places to stay. So there are some of the students after the excavation, they directly go to the beach and have a break there.
That's a good idea. Actually, I love Curion Beach. It's spent a lot of time there already. So, and about the stones, all the what was it called in English? I forgot them. The pebbles. The pebbles are so amazing there. I collected like 500 already, I think. So it's a pleasure to make a break, take the break there, and go to the restaurants. There's 3 restaurants or so, I think, right now.
It's an option, but of course we can adapt also to different possibilities. Of course, this is the standard, but normally during the last years we tested this schedule, which is feasible also in terms of energies consuming and times consuming. It is effective for work, but it's not too much tiring. I mean, if you have a long break during lunch and then work at home in labs during afternoon, then you have time to, after finishing the labs, we have time to make aperitivo, because we have not to forget that we are an Italian mission, so we have to take care of our habits. And so normally after 7:30 we go for aperitivo at the school, and then we wait for the dinner, which is served in the school itself.
Sounds amazing. Well, actually, are there any questions from the listeners? Yes, there are a lot of questions.
Susanna.
Buonasera e mille grazie per la fantastica lezione. I'm very much looking forward to this after all you've said. My question is, what are your exact plans for this year? What do you want to research this year?
Okay, thank you, Susanna. That's a very focused question. We decided to work on, as usual, we will work in different areas in the settlement and funerary areas. So we will go in definitely to work on the settlement circuit wall. A trench will be there. Another large area that's going to be investigated is the area southward, the workshop complex, where last year we found out a small road, an alley, and so there's a very huge building extending in that area, and so a huge group will work there definitely, and we are very curious, and full of hopes from that area, and a small team will work on the cemetery, because we are going to excavate. We excavated 3 chambers of a multiple chamber tomb, so we are going to excavate the 4th one this season, and I think it's all, Mia. Yeah. These are the areas. Each area, maybe I forgot to tell you, each area has a supervisor, which is an expert archaeology collaborator of ours since many time, normally PhD or postdoc, and which is responsible for the team of archaeologists, students and archaeologists working with in that area. So you will eventually have a direct relation with someone who worked there since many years. So I think it's a very nice opportunity, because sharing with us is nice, but sharing with someone who really worked there since many years in the same area is much more fascinating, I think.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you to you. Any further question? All well described. Thank you, Manuel. I think that most of the people that will join us are present to this lecture this evening. But anyway, if someone missed it, I think Klaus can share the recording, and I can share the PowerPoint, and me and Mia, we are available for any kind of doubt information you can eventually need in the next weeks. Just contact us. Klaus has our contact, so no problem.
Great. We'll take the opportunity and take the chance. If there's going to be some questions, I will forward them to you. I think, well, there's probably still many things we will just find out when we come there, I'd say.
Sure.
We will arrive on Saturday, so we have Saturday evening to go to Pisuri, to go to our hotel rooms. We have the full Sunday for going around. We will go to Kurion, of course, itself. Maybe we'll go to Kilkitia and some prehistoric sites too. And then we will start digging on Monday. And as it will be important to be there at 6, of course, because the heat, as you said, will be very tough from 8. So everyone, please be prepared to get up early. We simply have to do that. And we will still have a lot of questions in Erimi, yes.
Sure, Susanne. We will be happy to answer. I think we are, as you can understand, we are quite an open team, and all the students involved, the supervisor and even the youngest, are very kind and open people. So I think you will be very welcome there.
Great. This sounds very nice. So what about the size of your team this year? Just a question I just found.
We will be quite a lot. We will
No,
be,
we will be
35.
35 at the end, with different provenance, because this is one of the effects of the mass media notoriety, let's say. So we received a lot of applications from students from different places, from Cyprus, of course, but also from different universities in Italy and in Belgium and many countries. So we tried to do our best to include people from different provinces, because we strongly believe in the sharing, in a multi vocal team with people with different provenances, different experiences. This enrich so much in our experience the possibility to have a very good results and to have a nice environment during the fieldwork. So 35 people, mostly Italians, but not only from Siena. Our students from the University of Siena are at the end not the majority. Then the rest will be from other Italian university and from Greece, Cyprus, and other European countries, and then you. So it would be nice.
Great. Well then, I suppose if there are no further questions, I will save them for you for the day we arrive, which will be, let me see, I think like the 2nd of August. Will it be? I have to take a look at the calendar.